The call came while I was standing barefoot on a beach in Bali, watching the horizon turn gold. The water was everything I had dreamed about for years. The air smelled like salt and freedom. For the first time in 7 years, I had actually switched off my laptop and left it at home. That should have told me something was wrong, because women like me do not get real vacations. We get interruptions disguised as vacations. My name is Sarah Calloway. For 16 years, I built cloud infrastructure from the ground up. Not the kind that gets celebrated at investor dinners or featured in glossy tech magazines. I built the invisible kind, the foundational kind, the kind that made sure billions of dollars moved safely and silently every single day without anyone noticing. For the last 9 years, I had been the principal cloud architect at Vertex Horizon Technologies. When I walked through their doors for the first time, the company was valued at $15 million. When they escorted me out, it was sitting comfortably above $2 billion. Everyone gave the credit to the CEO, the board took their bows, investors popped champagne, and the engineers who actually built everything, we got an end-of-year gift card and a generic thank you email. My boyfriend handed me a coconut drink and squeezed my shoulder. You promised me, he said softly. No work this week? I smiled and meant it. No work, I promise. Then my phone started buzzing. Once, then twice, then what felt like 50 times before I even had a chance to breathe. I told myself I would not look. I told myself it could wait, but the notifications kept stacking up and eventually my brain would not let me ignore them. I opened my inbox. The subject line stopped everything inside me, cold. It read, separation of employment. Immediate effect. I actually laughed out loud. Standing there on that beach with waves touching my feet, I genuinely laughed because I was so certain this was some kind of system error or misdirected email. Then I read it fully. 4 paragraphs. That was all they gave me. 4 paragraphs after 16 years of my life poured into that company, after thousands of nights troubleshooting things nobody else understood, after every holiday I cut short, after every birthday dinner I missed because something in the infrastructure needed me. 4 paragraphs typed up by someone in HR who probably did not even know my name. My position had been eliminated effective immediately. No phone call before it was sent. No conversation. No meeting. No acknowledgement of anything I had contributed. Just an automated email delivered to my vacation inbox like a piece of spam. I read it 3 times. My boyfriend saw my face change and walked over slowly. What happened, babe? I could not form words yet, because I was not angry in that moment. I genuinely was not. What I felt was something older and quieter than anger. It was the particular kind of hurt that only comes from people you gave everything to. It settles into your chest like a stone and just stays there. People describe betrayal like a sudden explosion. But it never actually feels like that. It feels like a hairline crack, barely visible at first, and then it spreads quietly through everything until the whole structure gives way. The morning after, I received a call from a man named Daniel Carr. He was the newly appointed Chief Technology Officer of Vertex Horizon, 38 years old, business school background, the kind of executive who confused confidence with competence and had never actually stayed up until 3 a.m. fixing a deployment failure. Sarah, he said, and his voice was almost cheerful. I really hope there are no hard feelings here. No hard feelings. What an extraordinary phrase. People only reach for it when they have done something they already know was wrong. I was not even given a phone call, Daniel. A pause. Then the corporate language started flowing. We are repositioning the company's technical structure. And what that meant was someone wanted a larger bonus pool and needed to cut somewhere.
We're transitioning to AI-assisted cloud governance models. What that meant was someone read 3 articles on LinkedIn and convinced themselves it was a strategy. The executive team believes your function can largely be automated at this stage. That one genuinely almost made me laugh, because I was the one who built those automation systems. Every single layer, every failsafe, every deployment pipeline, every recovery protocol, every licensing mechanism threaded through the entire platform. Daniel kept talking. I kept staring at the ocean. The board has made its decision, Sarah. This is the direction we are going. I was quiet for a moment. Then I said very calmly, I understand completely. He sounded relieved when he heard that. People always confuse a woman being calm with a woman being defeated. It is one of the most expensive assumptions anyone can make. When I returned home 10 days later, my access badge had already been deactivated. Security stopped me at the front desk like I was a stranger. 16 years and I could not even walk through the lobby. I collected the small box of personal items that had been left for me near reception and drove home in silence. No farewell gathering, no handshakes, no acknowledgement. Just the sound of my car engine and the radio playing something I was not really hearing. That evening I sat at my kitchen table and opened an archive I had stored privately for years. The kind of archive that thorough people keep and careless organizations forget about entirely. Real power is not in your title or your office. Real power is in understanding exactly how the machine works, when nobody else is paying attention. I spent hours going through contracts, technical agreements, vendor licensing documents, board-approved frameworks, legal sign-offs from years past. Thousands of pages that most people would have filed away and forgotten. And then I found it. 9 years earlier, when Vertex Horizon was launching its core cloud orchestration product, the project had nearly collapsed entirely. Nobody senior wanted ownership of the core licensing infrastructure because the legal exposure in case of failure was enormous. So I had quietly structured it through my independent technical consulting entity. Every relevant party reviewed it. The board signed off. Legal approved every clause. Finance processed it. And then, as tends to happen with things that are working smoothly, everyone simply forgot it existed. Except me.
The agreement remained fully active, completely legal, every line enforceable. Buried within it was a specific provision that said if the designated custodian relationship was dissolved without a formal transition protocol being completed and approved, all enterprise tier licensing certificates across the platform would immediately require revalidation before any further deployments could proceed. No revalidation process. No valid certificates. No valid certificates meant no active platform. No active platform meant no cloud. No cloud meant no revenue. I sat back slowly in my chair. Outside, it had started raining. I could hear it against the windows. I stayed very still and just looked at that document for a long time. Then I did absolutely nothing at all, because acting from raw emotion produces sloppy outcomes. If something is worth doing, it is worth doing with patience and precision. 3 days passed before my phone began ringing again. Daniel, over and over. I let every single call go to voicemail and listened to them later with a cup of tea. The first message was measured and professional. Sarah, we seem to have encountered a licensing discrepancy. A discrepancy. Charming. The second message had lost some of its composure. Several production deployments had stalled completely. The third informed me that client environments were not updating and the engineering team could not identify the root cause. The fourth said all new releases had been halted indefinitely. The fifth just said, please call me back. I did not. Instead, I took my younger sister out for brunch because I finally had the time. We split a stack of pancakes and she made me laugh properly for the first time in weeks. By the end of the week, the messages had turned genuinely desperate. Major enterprise clients were threatening financial penalties. Institutional investors were asking uncomfortable questions at the board level. The entire platform, which generated somewhere close to $200 million annually, had effectively gone still. They needed me. Not wanted, needed. I was saying, it is remarkable how quickly the language changes. The emergency board session took place on a Wednesday morning. This time, nobody sent an email. They sent a car, a sleek black sedan, with a driver who held the door open and did not make eye contact. The same company that had automated me out of a job via inbox was now sending luxury transportation to bring me back. I wore my best coat. When I walked into that boardroom, every face turned toward me, and not one of them was smiling. The screens around the room were covered in red numbers, loss projections, penalty estimates, churn forecasts. Daniel looked like he had not slept in days. The CEO had the particular look of a person who has recently discovered that everything they believed about their own business was wrong. The board chairman rose when I entered. Ms. Calloway, not Sarah, not the informal first name they always used when they want something from me at 11 at night. Ms. Calloway. Funny how fast the formality returns when the revenue stops. We would very much like to discuss a path to resolution. I took a seat. Go ahead. Their legal team walked through the full picture. Missed deployment windows, contractual penalty clauses being triggered across multiple enterprise accounts, customer escalations, a major product launch delayed with no clear timeline, the kind of financial damage that shows up on earnings, calls, and in shareholder letters. Then Daniel spoke, and for the first time since I had known him, the performance was gone. We made a mistake, Sarah. Silence sat in the room for a long moment. Then I said, no. Everyone looked at me with confusion. You did not make a mistake. Daniel frowned slightly. What do you mean? A mistake happens by accident, I said. What you did was a deliberate decision. You decided that Lake Experience was a liability rather than an asset. You decided that the people who built something from nothing could simply be replaced with a slide deck and a software subscription. Nobody pushed back on that because every single person in that room knew it was the truth. The chairman finally leaned forward. What would it take to make this, I guess, right? I had thought about this question carefully over the past several days. This was the moment where the whole thing could have gone sideways, where anger could have taken over and I could have done something small and spiteful just to watch them squirm, but that was never what I actually wanted. What I wanted was something that actually mattered, not just for me, for every engineer who had ever been treated like a replaceable part in a machine they personally built. I looked around that table slowly, then I laid out like 3 conditions. I will not detail all of them here, but I will tell you that by the time that meeting ended, something had genuinely shifted in that room. Not just the legal situation, something in how those people understood the relationship between a company and the people who carry it. Technology can absolutely automate tasks. It can process enormous amounts of data. It can generate reports and flag anomalies and optimize workflows, but it cannot replicate the judgment that comes from years of real experience. It cannot replace the institutional memory of someone who was there when the foundation was being poured, and it certainly cannot replace what it means to actually care about something you helped build. Because the moment a company forgets who made it possible for the lights to stay on, they are about to learn a very expensive lesson about exactly how much that person was worth.